morning, sweet baby angel sunshine beam. How are you today?
I'm hungover.
Oh,
I feel like I say that a lot.
Yeah, you do, you fucking old drunken hag.
Everybody thinks, God, I sound like a drunk, you guys. But you have you have to keep in mind, if I have a drink and a half, I'm hungover. So got crazy last night, went to dinner, and I'm paying
Had one
for
drink
it
of wine.
Yeah.
Okay, Lucy, I can see a little face in the corner there on the screen. Who is that?
I know. You guys, there's a surprise guest on the show this week.
Who is she? It's Jess Illsley, my friend.
Jess Illsley. Welcome to the Lucy and Annabelle show.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here. Big fan. I'm a big fan.
Oh, what a pleasure.
We're so happy to have you.
I know. We're so happy you're here.
Very happy to be here.
Jess is a friend of mine from, well, not school, but so I got expelled, but all my friends went to this one school and Jess went to school with them. And then we knew each other through our 20s, but we didn't really become friends until recently. But we like always knew each other. And, you know, there's timing has its place. Timing is beautiful. And here we are today, Jess Illsley, also known as Debbie VanBo. We'll get to that later. Jess is a very interesting lady, Lucy. I think I told you a little bit about Jess. She is a musician.
You told me about Jess.
Jess is a musician. She is a wife. She's a mother. She is a medium in training.
Yes.
And basically everything. Oh, she's a rock star's daughter.
That's right.
So obviously she's the perfect guest for this show.
Yeah. The three of us. Look at this.
I know.
Jesus.
And that's why I thought that it would be amazing for Jess to come on the show. So welcome, Jess. We don't really have a plan, do we, of what we're going to talk about? We're just going to chat shit, I think.
I just have a ton of questions because I'm so interested in hearing about your life.
Good.
Yeah, Annabelle, when you told me that, Jess, you were going to come on and do the show, I was so excited because, well, first of all, for the three of us to talk about our shared experience of our fathers.
Of daddy.
And then
daddy issues.
That's right. And then, just to talk about your music, because I really like your music. I love what you've done with this alter ego in your music. It's really exciting and interesting. And you definitely have strong messages with your music. So anyway, I'm so glad you're here. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very good. I've been at the beach most of the afternoon, like baby club, actually. I just had all the cousins and we swapped down here. So today was my day to have them all. So I'm feeling quite sun soaked and having a nice drink. It's my time to a little bit of sake. Sake's my tipple.
You're at home in England, so it's
it's actually it's 17 degrees, so it's like not like super hot, but it is nice and warm. But yeah,
that's like perfect for me. That's perfect. 17. I don't need to be like.
I don't know what
that means. Could be a little bit warmer. Isn't it you got to times it by 32?
It's okay. I'm always dealing with this with my husband, who's also English, but it looks perfect. You're sitting in a beautiful ray of sunlight coming in your window. You look like an angel. Oh, yeah. And we're over here in our bathrobes.
I know. I'm so sorry, you guys, that I couldn't get dressed. As I was saying to you earlier, listeners, as you know, I'm very is introverted the right word? I think it is.
Yeah.
I've been out 5 times in 7 days and I feel like I'm going to die. Really had a fun time with everyone I was out with. Love you guys, but
love you, my friends, but I don't want to see you ever again.
Jess, you growing up in our 20s, you are like a massive party animal. Are you still that way? Or have you, since like moving to the country and having kids, do you feel like you've slowed down or your stamina isn't there, or like your interests have changed? Because I'm going to assume you're not partying in the way that you were in our 20s, ripping a dick through London.
No, it's definitely different. I still love a good party, but it got to a point I just think I'd gone too far, and I had to strip it all back. And then I've slowly sort of, now all I drink is sake and I take magic mushrooms. That's kind of as far as I go. Because I ruined my whole gut bacteria, basically. I was really sick for quite a long time. I still have issues with it. And I think I just pushed my body way too far. Something's got to give. And I think that's basically what happened. And it all started off my spiritual kind of journey, that it was sort of a gift in a way, because I went to get hypnotherapy to, get out of, the whole drugs and, just calm down basically. And it worked pretty much instantly. It was kind of amazing. I put the work in because, you have to sort of keep doing. I had a tape that I did sort of every day, twice a day for 6 months. But after that, I haven't ever felt like touching any drug apart from, I like the shroomies,
You find them in the forest?
Friends. Yeah. We make our own magic mushroom honey, which is so delicious.
Wait, I was joking, but you really do find them in the forest?
Yeah. We have a field here, which is it's ridiculous. You get every 3 days, there's 800. It's crazy. So it feeds the whole community.
Okay. So have you had to do a lot of learning about what's poisonous and what's okay?
Yes, but it's weird. Once you just know. And also it really helps to, when you find the first one, to eat it, because then they show themselves to you. It is really magical. And I was yeah, whatever, but it fucking works. It's amazing. And so now I'm really in tune with them, and they literally just pop up in front of your eyes. They're oh my God, there's hundreds. And there really is so many down here. It's quite damp because we're near the sea, and it gets a lot of sun as well. So it's the perfect environment. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, you're You're like a little forest fairy witch.
That's amazing.
Do you prefer fairy or do you prefer witch?
I've been called both. I don't mind.
Depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, I think it might do. I think it might do with this one.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you now I have 100 questions about that. I'll just ask you one thing. Do you turn them into selling them at little fairs or anything? Do you share them with others, or you just kind of take what you guys use and that's it?
Basically here, magic mushrooms used to be completely legal. When I was 16, I'd go to Portobello Market and they'd be having stalls, and it was so great because they'd give you the exact amount for a perfect trip, and you would never overdo it, and it was safe. And then for some reason they became so illegal. They're an A-class drug now.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's not, it's medicine. It should be classed as medicine, I think. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm too terrified. I've got 2 kids, so I can't go to jail for however long you would go to jail for if you were selling an A-class drug, probably quite a long time. But
that's amazing. Wow.
30 years or something.
It's just so silly.
Well, of course, anything that is free, that people can access themselves, that they can grow themselves, is going to be illegal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God forbid people should be empowered to take their health into their own hands and make decisions about their own health.
Yeah.
No.
What caused you two to reconnect later in life?
This podcast.
Really?
It was, but I mean, we sort of became quite good friends when you were with your ex in London.
Yeah.
And then you moved away, and we didn't speak for 5 years or something.
Yes, yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I heard about Ryan and Max, and then I sort of reconnected with you through that, and just started listening to your pod, and I just thought it was so amazing, and I've been hooked ever since. And it was just so nice to reconnect with you. When you came back, it was just great. It was so great.
It was. It's been lovely. It's been really lovely.
That makes me so proud.
Yeah.
proud.
Yeah, I've been spreading the word about the pod as well. Got lots of the B-Dales girls listening.
It's just connected us with so many people all over the world. It's really, it's just such a fantastic feeling. So back then, did you both know that you had the dad connection? For everybody who doesn't know, your dad is one of the main guys in Dire Straits. His name is John. And Yeah. So did you two know that you had that connection when you were in school together? What is this school? School for rock star children or something?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, we knew that, but we weren't in the school together because I went to the junior school and I got expelled. And then all my friends went to the senior school and I went to like the school of life from that point on.
Right. And you were just thrown in.
Yeah. We did know, but it took like through our teens and everything, we like knew each other, but we didn't like really know each other. But we both knew that we had like famous dads. But Lucy, you are literally the first person that I've ever like deeply connected with that has a famous dad. For some reason, I feel like I'm like the only one. I don't know about you, Jess, but Lucy, growing up, you have lots of friends with rock star dads. And I had none. And I don't know if it's because I was raised in Hampshire. I don't know what it was. I don't know if my parents were like specifically shielding me from LA and that whole world or what it was. But I just didn't know any. And I think I had a little bit of an aversion to it. And I think just one of the reasons why I never like got super close to you was because I was like, somewhere in my subconscious, like, no, like we don't do that in this family. It's so fucking weird. I don't exactly know how to explain it. I think it was insecurity as well. Like I always felt like other people who had famous dads were like much more cool and glamorous and interesting than I was. And I was like a frumpy dumpy country bumpkin. And I think that was an insecurity thing as well. It's like I would look at Jess and just be like, she is like so glamorous. She is like so rock and roll. And I'm like in like working at the pub and just tragic. And
I always felt that way too.
I know, but your friends were like George Harrison's kid and shit. Like, right. You know, I really, when I say to you, no one, I really like mean like no one. And I think it was more than anything like an insecurity thing because I just felt like less than for some reason. I don't fucking know why. I can't explain it.
I can relate to what you're saying. I always felt like the outsider, like ghetto rock star kid because I didn't have the Range Rover like everybody else did. Hey. I didn't have a credit card like everyone else did. Like I just
you had like their name, but you didn't have like the goods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a bit embarrassing actually, because you were like, you were expected to keep up with the Joneses, but you couldn't. So I really shied away from it all also because I felt so
you couldn't keep up
out of the cool group, even though I never felt like I belonged. I think we all feel that as humans though, this imposter syndrome that everybody feels about whatever it is in their lives. Can you relate to any of that, Jess? How was it for you? Let's just get it out of the way now so we can talk about other things. Everybody wants to know.
I don't know. I don't think I ever really thought about it. Like, I don't have any rock star kid friends at all. So I don't know. It was never sort of conscious for me. And my dad's he was really good. He'd never spoilt me with things like that either. So my first car was like, you know, a 1989 Volvo.
Right.
Which I loved, which I still love. You know, I sold her. I'm still really upset about that. But, you know, I didn't have that kind of lifestyle, you know, at all. And no, I just don't think I ever thought about it. I never thought I was different. Probably because I went to Bedales where everyone just treats everyone the same and no one gives a shit about any of that. So you just don't really think about it. And there are lots of other people who are like well known and connected there. So yeah, I didn't think about it. I was actually, before I went to Bedales, I was actually really bullied.
Really?
And not just by kids, by like teachers. They were like kind of the worst. And I always thought I didn't understand it, but now I think maybe that's because, you know, they knew about my dad or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's weird. But yeah, so I guess, like, actually there was one at Bedales who used to, you know, sing one of the songs every time I walked in or something. I was like, what are you trying to do? Like, get me kind of like beaten up or something. Like, shut the fuck up. Because I was hoping like no one would kind of know. But yeah, I never really thought about it. So yeah, I guess just try to ignore it a bit. But I never, you know, he's not like rock starry. He's very like low key and likes to be quite low key. So that was quite good for me.
Yeah. I think that it's weird when you're raised by whatever, a parent who is well known, because you kind of go into situations, like you said, with this like baggage already of like, I don't want anyone to know, or like, I don't want anyone to find out, or I just want to not be bullied, or I just want to whatever, which is kind of every kid has that to an extent. Like, yeah. I hope it works out at my new school, or, and I'm sure kids with other stuff, like, parents getting divorced or whatever it is, anything that makes you a little bit different than the rest of the kids.
Right.
That is like, could be a pain point, is obviously like a piece of baggage that you walk into a situation with. But
yeah,
I think one of the weirdest things for me that I kind of had a sense of when I was younger, but now definitely more so, is that I don't think about it either. I forget about it. But I'll go into situations and it's like, I already know that everyone knows.
Yeah, you walk in and have you felt that, Jess?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not very social anymore at all. Like, I rarely go anywhere new. So it's like, it just doesn't cross my mind ever until like he does something and I'm like, oh, you're just being like that because, there's like, it just creeps in sometimes, but I don't find it in certain situations, especially because I'm down here now. It's like mainly family and just like locals who know him anyway, because he also lives around the corner.
Oh, okay.
So it's very like desensitized down here.
Yeah.
And
it's a nice little safety bubble.
Yeah.
Where you don't really have to think about it. It is a weird feeling when you go into a situation and someone is like, oh, and they just like know all the shit about you. It's fucking weird.
It's like,
and they make preconceptions about you.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's painful. But I can totally relate. Walking in, everybody knows. And as I get older, realize how much it's made me mistrust people, because I will never know if somebody really likes me, sees me for me. And so I just really, it has stunted my intimacy with people, because I never, it stunts me from investing in people, because I have that warning, red flag. They might already have known, so they might not really be seeing you, and you'll never know if you can trust them for real. So in that way, it's been a very lonely thing.
That's really sad. And I don't want to be like, that's not sad, but like, that is sad. That's like painful to hear you say that. I haven't had that experience. So I can't relate to that bit, because I also think that you were raised probably differently. I don't want to speak for Jess, but we always joke about how your dad's like very rock starry, Lucy. Yeah. And like, you guys have, security, and you have like a lot of those systems in place. And growing up, like, I had none of that. Like, my dad was giving people his phone number. Everyone knew our address. There was no security. He's walking around in the garden in his pants and everyone could see. Like, it's just like, there was none of that there. And I wonder if having all of those structures in place has intensified the experience for you of like feeling like there is this like there's this thing to fear almost, like there's this big difference in a way. Because my dad was very down to earth, and like, he was at the dive bar with the locals. He was, he was very in the trenches with the people. And so I never had that feeling of like not trusting people, or like having trouble with intimacy. In a way, I think it brought more intimacy into my life in an interesting way. It may be like not so good, like over familiarity stuff, but But do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you think that could be an element of it, that the fortress made it feel more like scary almost?
I mean, the fortress makes people act crazy around you. The fortress makes people more and more desperate to want to be near you. So I'm also very wary of overfamiliarity. If somebody's being overfamiliar with me, they're like a wall comes down and I will never trust them. And I also think that me being raised in LA made it a lot more intense because this is the land of everybody has a hidden agenda. And they walk into a room looking for who the most powerful person is, and they're going to glom on to that. That's just
anyone that can get them.
Right. Anybody close to fame. So that's the vibe here. You guys had a much different vibe over there. And it's just interesting, isn't it? Annabelle and I have said this before, Jess, like we have the same experience, and it's a very unique experience. There's really only a handful of people in the world that have grown up this way. And each of us have processed it a different way. That's totally unique to us. It's really fascinating. So I'm also interested to hear about your mom. How did she raise you through all of this? And were your parents together?
Yeah. So she met my dad in Australia when he was on tour. And she was actually a first penthouse pet of Australia. And so when bands came through, I think they used to sort of get the penthouse pets and stick them in a room.
What's a penthouse pet?
It's like basically the Australian version of a Playboy bunny.
Playboy bunny. Wow. So I thought so. I just wanted to check.
That's how they met at some weird function where they, were entertaining each other. But it was sad for her because, they met, they fell in love and they bought a really great property there. And then he took her back to England where she knew literally nobody. And then he went on tour and left her with me. I had an older brother as well, but he also had a mum, but she was kind of looking after both of us on and off. And he was absent a lot of the time. And that's basically where the cracks started to happen in their relationship. And it ended, and she was a single mum for the whole thing pretty much.
Wow.
So she's had a really hard time. And also it was really awful. Her brother and her father died within the same year. And then my mom and my dad broke up. And so she lost 3 people essentially all at the same time. And that's definitely affected her.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of grief.
So much grief. And my sort of survival thing was to just ignore everything. And from a very early age, I was just la, 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 nothing. And I truly mean this, nothing affected me that I could remember. I was never upset about it, but recently a lot of things have come back and then I was really upset. It was really strange. I was like, but I never cared about any of this. Even when
you were disassociating.
Yeah, totally. And I never really understood that until it happened to me. And I was like, fuck, it's so annoying. I have to deal with it all now.
Well, I think it's actually really good because I think as a child, we don't know how to deal with it. So we do all of this weird, coping stuff and learn all of these really, really bad habits. I'm not saying that repressing is a great habit, but your survival technique was repression. You repressed everything, and that's how you got through, and that's how you survived your experience. Now, with the wisdom of your experience and your life and your age and your knowledge of yourself and your parents, you can process it in a much healthier way. So I don't know. I think it's annoying and inconvenient, but probably you're going to process it really well.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying. I mean, actually, I have gotten somewhere with it, and I'm sort of working through the layers of it at the moment. So yeah, I mean, but I think everyone's got layers, but
it's a lifelong process, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've said this before, Annabelle, with your grief, you can outrun it, but it's always it's always waiting for you.
Always. It's wherever you go, it's gonna be waiting for you there. So
you can spend 10 years running, you can spend 30 years running, it's gonna be right there. So it's really up to you when you put your foot down and go, okay, today we're gonna take a look at this. We don't have to fix anything. We don't have to fix it all at once. Nothing is wrong. We're just going to give it some consciousness and take a look at it.
start
and that's
chipping
terrifying.
away.
But I think that's because people feel that people are very uncomfortable, as I'm sure you know in your spiritual work that you do, Jess, like they're very uncomfortable in that gap where the thing is not fixed. They don't know the answers. The gap, I call it, you know, in the not knowing. People will like do whatever they have to not live there.
Yeah, totally.
And when you are in the gap, you realize it's not as scary as we imagine it is. You see that a lot?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of, it's interesting when people are like desperate for you to sort of contact their, you know, mother who's passed away or something like that. And then, or they hear something that they don't want to hear and they just deny. And then you're like, the next week you'll get this message from them being like, it was actually really on point, but it really hit a nerve and I just couldn't admit to myself that it was actually true.
Yeah.
and like, well, thanks. I just thought I gave a really shit reading, you know,
right.
Knocked my confidence. But no,
so Jess is, just in case anyone is like confused about what we're talking about, Jess is also training to be a medium, if you missed that at the beginning of the episode. So she is, I feel like we should really talk about this because
I have so many questions about this.
It's so fascinating. But just to like wrap up to the stuff with your mother, I think, you know, my mom had a very similar experience. She met my dad. My mom also worked in the Playboy Club, and ended up basically just being a single mother the whole time, as did my sister's mother. And that loss that your mum experienced, do you feel that she, I mean, obviously we can't speak for anyone else, but hi, puppy. Do you feel that she, is your mum living a good life? Is she happy? That's what we want to know. Like, you know, despite all of the tumult of her experience, like, has she been able to work through it? And I like to say recover from my dad when I speak about my mum. My mom's like in recovery from my dad still. And like, is your mom good?
No.
Oh no.
Short answer. It's a short answer is no. I mean, like, no. She's like really suffered from it, and I think just a lot of things happened before my dad as well, like in her early childhood. Her dad came out as being gay when she was sort of 16 or something, which in the when would it have been 70s or something like that, was like, you know, they lost all their friends and they were like, oh, you know, we don't want to talk to these people. And he had loads of guilt. And then her brother came out as gay and then they both died of AIDS. So it was like really intense for her. So that I think is probably more of something that she hasn't dealt with and is affecting her. But then, you know, with my dad, she is bitter about it, understandably. You know, the big house down here was hers, and my dad, and while he was away on tour, she renovated the whole thing, and then literally she buried her dad in the garden, the ashes, and then had to leave 6 months later. I mean, it's just tragic and really upsetting. So it's just like, I don't know how you can recover from that without serious hardcore therapy and like the right kind of therapy, which she's had therapy, but I don't think it's really made a dent in and our relationship suffers from it because I think she pushes her resentment onto me quite a lot, and I know it's not her fault, and that's why I try not to get angry with her, but
of course
we do push each other's buttons. She just left today. She's been staying with us for like 10 days, but we didn't kill each other. We made it. We made it through.
We have such overwhelming losses like that, and it makes us overflow with pain, and that pain's got to overflow somewhere. So it's going to overflow onto those that we're closest with, because we're asking somebody to share this burden with us. And that crosses a lot of boundaries. It's a really tricky dynamic.
Yeah.
Classic,
she's very
classic family dynamic, eh?
Yeah. She's got an immaturity to her emotions as well. So I have to remember that. I think that is from what happened when she was like 16. I just don't think she developed from there. So that I have to remember as well. But it's difficult, you know. It's like I want her to be the mother sometimes.
Yeah, totally. My mum never recovered from my dad. She never got over it. That my dad was the love of my mum's life, and she just never really came back from it. I mean, she had one other relationship, but that guy ended up being a fucking tool as well. And it's interesting. I think I've had, from what you're saying, obviously everyone experiences loss. We're all going to lose our parents. We're all going to, you know, have those things. But I think the quick succession of how your mum probably lost those people is like three, you know, that's like 3 bullets at once.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a different situation. But my mum, she's just never recovered. And a lot of like, I want her to be the mum. I can really relate to that feeling as well. And I don't know what that is about. I wonder if that's like a generational thing. I have no idea. But I really feel for my mum, and I feel for any woman that loved my dad. And I'm blessed my dad. I don't mean that in a horrible way, because I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think my dad was incredible and magic, and that's why they loved him. But he also suffered with his mental health, and he
did the best he could.
Addiction issues, alcohol, and was like self-soothing through his drinking to treat his bipolar and his pain and the grief of his childhood, of losing his mother at 12. And this is why I always say it's so important to deal with your grief, because my dad's loss at 12 of his mother has affected so many people's lives.
Yep.
So many fucking people's lives. I wonder if this is like a famous people thing or what, but I definitely know a lot of women who have been with, married to, whatever, well-known guys, and they just never quite get it back together. What is that? Like, what is it? I don't know.
Well, I think also there's inherited trauma, which is just something that's what I'm trying to stop now as well, because I think it can just like have ripple effects.
And you have kids, you have to stop it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, and my husband's had a really messed up, his is like, he had a really messed up childhood, so he's really like focused on sorting that out, because that's been really rocky for him. And I think having kids actually brought a lot of that to the surface as well. So yeah, we're both getting through it, and what's good is it never happens at the same time, so one of us is always fine, so that's quite nice.
That's
at the moment,
that's the way married. There was somebody, I forget who it was, maybe Tom Hanks or somebody, they said, how have you and your wife stayed together after all this time? And he said, we never wanted to get divorced at the same time. Not that you two are, divorce applies, but like we're never bad at the same time. Like it always is a back and forth, and that's how a relationship makes it through.
Totally.
Annabelle, I think about what you're saying. Obviously fame and money and that whole insane circus is its own thing. But I think at the core of what we're talking about is addiction. To me, it's that addiction is a total loss for everyone. And that's hard to get over, because that's a tragedy. And there's no redemption. You never get over it, because it's so useless. It's so useless.
Did your dad, and feel free not to answer this, did your dad, has he had like abuse, like substance abuse or alcohol issues, or he's just been...
No. Okay, just a womanizer.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, then that wrecks my whole argument. But
no, she's saying he's a womanizer. I mean, I guess
that might have been his sort of addiction, but not anymore. But like, he definitely, I suppose like being on tour, it's just so tempting. But no, he never had any problems with drugs.
I mean, that's true, because my dad's been sober for almost 20 years, but he's still, we're still dealing with, addictive disorder, whatever you want to call it, in many ways. It transfers to many, many things. And it's in the behavior first before you pick up a drink or whatever. So
drinking thinking, as they call it.
Oh my God.
Anyway, look, I'm so bored of our stupid dads.
I know. Let's get on. I want to talk to you about all the fabulous things you're pursuing in your own life. So Annabelle, do you have questions about her mediumship? Because I know I do.
Okay, so I feel like you should ask your questions, because I spend time with Jess and I'm going to spend a lot of time with her, so I can ask the questions that I want to ask anytime. And I feel like you are not going to get as much as an intimate opportunity as I will. So you should definitely ask some questions. First of all, I think just explain to us, if you will, if you feel to, what brought you into this world of mediumship and spirituality, and why and how and what's next with it, is my.
Well, you just asked all my questions.
Oh,
okay. Okay, so it started when I think I was about 16 or something. I had a really terrible experience in my dad's house in the attic, which is where my room got moved to when I lived in Australia. Anyway, it was creepy enough as it was, but you
can't just skip over it. You have to tell us.
Okay, the room was creepy, but I always had this weird energy in there. Anyway, I was asleep and I woke up, but instead of being really cold, I was really, really hot. And so hot, it was like middle of winter and I was like burning hot. I opened all the windows and I had a radio in there. And so I turned it on because it just felt really like weird. And I was like really creeped out, turned all the lights on and I was just like feeling weird and hot. And I was sitting in my bed and I basically got pushed back into bed and basically strangled. I could still breathe, but it was like really aggressive. And when I shut my eyes, there was this like little boy's face in my eyes. And I was like fighting to get off and it stopped. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not dreaming because everything's on, and I splashed my face with water. It then happened 2 more times after that. And then I went downstairs because I was so freaked out and actually it really hurt my neck. Anyway, I was downstairs and I was just like watching TV. It was like 4 a.m. or something. And my dad came down and he was like, what are you doing up so early? Because he came down at like 6 and I told him. And instead of him being like, oh, you're just being silly, he was like, I've definitely felt something in that room, but also in the room directly below. And he completely believed me, which I was really shocked about. And I did actually have like physical marks all over my neck.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It was horrible. Anyway, I didn't really think about it after that, but I was very freaked out. And then I went to visit my friend's house in Somerset, which is so old. It's like 700 years old, a beautiful old farmhouse. And they put me in this really beautiful room. But again, I walked in and I was like, ugh, I recognized this feeling and it was so uncomfortable. And I just felt this woman's energy. Anyway, a lot of weird things happened to me in that room. The door, it was one of those really old houses, but like the doors are like this. So like, there's no way it can't swing open unless you push it really hard. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of the night, it would swing open and it would slam. And I was like, oh my God. And then the worst one was when a guitar was next to us and the string was just playing on its own. And I woke Moses up. I was like, Moses, can you fucking see this? Can you see this? And he was like, yes, I can see that. I can see that. And he just very calmly.
Moses is your husband.
Oh yeah, that's my husband. He got up and like he just put it face down because he was just like, that's just too weird. So yeah, that all happened. Oh, sorry. And then I started having these very psychic dreams about one of them, which was about my friend Freya, who was expecting a baby. And 6 months before she gave birth, I literally had all these numbers that she told me to write down in the dream. She's like, when you wake up, write down these numbers. And it was the date of her birth, the time of her birth, the weight of her baby, and the sex of her baby. So it was like, and it was all like to the minute, like correct. Which, sorry, my dog's just walked in. This is Doris.
Doris. She's so cute.
Anyway, so Moses was then sitting next to someone at a dinner party who he spoke to about this, and she said, oh, I work at this College of Psychic Studies in London. and she should go there. She should go and check it out, talking about me. And so he told me after dinner, and it happened to be around the corner from where I was living. So I went, and the rest is kind of history. I just started the courses and loved it. Found a really great tutor who's just like flamboyant, gay, amazing theatrical man who made it like less serious, which I really liked. And yeah, that's what I've been doing. I do it sort of every Monday, and I'm now just being put up to the advanced level, which I'm really like nervous about because anyway, but yeah.
Amazing.
Well done.
It's happening.
That's really exciting.
I've met some very great, strange, amazing people doing it. So it's been really cool.
So that started for you at age 16, you said?
Yeah. And literally nothing before that. Didn't have any kind of experiences or psychic stuff at all before that. But it's all sort of started.
Wow. Well, it's really inspiring because I've had a similar life. I grew up just seeing things, hearing things, having these psychic dreams. But most people, when that's happening to them, they don't understand what to do with it. That's how I've always been. I'm like, okay, great, this is happening, but what the fuck am I supposed to do? So for you to take it to the next level and actually dive in and strengthen your gift and open yourself up even farther is really powerful. And who knows where it's going to take you. But do you have goals or like some kind of plan in mind for yourself? Would you like to be offering your services as a medium all over the globe? Is that where you're headed, or do you not really know yet?
Well, yeah, I didn't at the beginning. I didn't go with any idea about that. It was just I was interested. But as it's gone on, and as I have given readings to like a lot of people in my classes and seen how it can really help people, it's really inspired me to want to do it like professionally. I mean, I'm so far away from that, but that's fine because, I never really planned on it anyway. But definitely, I think I've always kind of, when I was younger, liked the idea of giving therapy to people, whether it was like through art or just like professionally. And I think this is a way that I can do that. And it really can just change people and help them get through grief or get through a really difficult part of their life. Like if I'm having a really shit time, I'll contact my teacher and I'll be like, can I have a reading? And it can just make all the difference. And I really urge everyone to do that. And because it's a quick fix of like, it's like really can be very powerful. My husband did it recently. He was having a terrible time and it's just changed him completely. So
the answers
so
are
powerful.
waiting. The answers are waiting for you. Have you found that in diving into this, your spiritual team is developing around you? I'm not every medium works differently. Are you meeting guides on the other side? Do you deal with guides, or is it more of an intuition thing for you? Do you see? Do you hear?
I see and hear. I don't have the clairsentient, which is like the feeling. That one I haven't sort of developed yet. But no, it's really frustrating because in my class, people talk about their guides all the time and how they can feel them and some know what they look like. And I haven't had that at all.
Yeah. I mean,
it's really frustrating though. I'm like, come on. But it's interesting. I had a really bad term last term and I got literally hardly anything. Having done really great readings and getting access to the work really easily, it got taken away. And I think my teacher said that's really normal and they do it for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's usually to strengthen your other
That's right.
Your other sentience,
to slow you down to go deeper on certain aspects.
Yeah, but it makes no sense. Like when
I
it's
know.
happening, so you're like, I can't fucking do it.
I know.
But so he's weirdly like moved me up to the next class because he thinks that the energy in that class will suit me better. So it's kind of an experiment. So we'll see. But
well, you do feel as well because you described feelings when you would walk into those rooms.
Yeah, and it's usually for me, I just get very hot, and that's how I know that like they're very close or something's about to happen. And he said that used to happen to him when he was starting out as well. And you just have to tell them, please take a step back.
That's
because it's overwhelming. Like sometimes I feel like I'm going to pass out. It's really horrible.
Yeah, boundaries are really important.
Yeah, totally. It's actually a lot to remember when you're doing it. Like, you have to be polite when you're asking questions, you know, right. you have to, but he says it's actually so easy. You just ask and you get, but we all overcomplicate it and we get in the way. So it's basically simplifying it is just so difficult, but I'm enjoying it.
Have you put in boundaries about times of day? Like, I have my medium that I've been going to for a long time. His name is Dr. Daniel Ryan. He describes, like, he has to tell them, I come back tomorrow. Like, I don't do work after 8 p.m. or whatever.
No, I don't have that issue. I think maybe,
look, he's been doing this for 40 years. So
I'm very good at just sort of switching off. I think that might be something I learned from my childhood, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not open
available
all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for the work that you do.
I think so. I think maybe that's why I don't get, like, you know, Auntie Agnes coming to, like, sit next to me on the sofa. Right. And this girl's like, I was doing the washing up the other day, and this like old woman came and stood next to me. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That never happens to me. But also I wouldn't want it to, but it all just,
that's probably why. It's because you don't want it to.
You're not inviting.
Exactly.
You're not available for it. God, you guys, what you're saying is so crazy. Okay. So last week I had, like, such a strange thing. Obviously I'm on my own, like, grief journey, and, like, at the beginning of this process that I'm in, I felt everything was, like, open, and I wanted it to be that way. And the more open I was, the more I could feel Ryan and Max, and I wanted to be half in with the dead and half alive. I wanted to be with the dead, basically wishing I was there, but also I was like very open. Like, and everything was just raw intuition and raw feeling. And it was, you know, I think someone should make, like, a movie about grief as, like, a superpower, because there is this crazy bit at the beginning where you don't feel physical pain, you don't feel anything, nothing frightens you. It is like this invincible feeling where you're, like, neither dead nor alive. I would have to write it down, and I have written it down, but anyway, that aside. And as the time goes on, you kind of join the living again, and the little door to that world, it just starts closing and closing and closing, if you allow it to. And there is a part of you that wants it to close because you just want to live. And you're like, I can't be in and out like this. So recently, after a period of being like, don't, Ryan and Max, like, don't, just, like, please leave me alone. I'm feeling like I want them back, fickle. And like, I'm like, I want you back. Please come back. And so I'm trying to open myself up to that again. And this was a process I really had to do with my dad. A guy that I speak to for, you know, spiritual things was like, your dad really wants to be with you and he really wants to access you, but you have blocked him out for like 6 years now, and he needs you to ask him to be there and to visit and to come, whatever. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I was clearing out my storage unit, Ryan's things, you know, it's a lot. I'm going through every fucking piece of paper and every fucking everything and the journals and the notes. And, you know, you're seeing the inner world of this person, and I'm mad and I'm sad and I'm yelling and I'm crying and I'm very in it. And I'm going through everything. And Alec, who is new to all of this stuff, was never spiritual before, never really occurred to him any of this, but who, funnily enough, is one of the most deeply powerful spiritual people I've ever met. It was just lying dormant in him. Like, it was just an unaccessed, untapped resource, but he's like more powerful than I am. You know, he's incredible. Has this fucking dream, and he wakes up and he was like, okay, sorry, let me go back. I had acupuncture the night before and I was lying there, and they leave you for ages, and you have to like fucking just lie there with pins in you and just like be pinned down, and it's just really frustrating. And I, in that moment, asked Ryan to please just visit me and give me messages. Like, I'm feeling blocked, I'm feeling all like fuck it uppy, and I need the flow of the energy, and I'm ready for him to like be in my life again in a new way. And I brought Max in and we sat there for a while. Okay, I don't tell Alec any of this. That night, Alec has a dream. Ryan comes to him in the dream and says, I've got messages for Annabelle. I haven't told Alec any of this stuff. Alec wakes up and says, I've got messages for Annabelle. And Ryan was standing in the top level of a church. And he said, there's $3,000. And he showed him the messages. I opened a book and money fell out, folded money fell out of this book, a black book. And Alec was like, and then there's this printed money and it's got like, it's not like money, but it's like got typing on it and it's printed. I was like, weird. So I didn't say anything to him. I went to storage that day. And then I came back and I was going through everything and I was like, okay, I should be checking things better because I'm like throwing away books and stuff and I probably should be checking. I don't know. People hide things and like, is there checks? Is there money? Is there notes? Is there, photos, things that I'm missing? So I opened this lockbox and there's an envelope of these things that were popular back in the day, these giant printed money things, and they are savings bonds. The night before, I opened Ryan's passport, a dark blue passport, and folded money came out. And the amount of the two things together was $3,000.
Shit.
And it was even the way in which it was like described to me. I opened the passport and folded money fell out, like crisp from the bank. And then these fucking savings bonds. And I showed them to Alec. I came back and I was like, what are these things? And he's like, the things from my fucking dream. I was like,
oh my God.
What? Like, it's just, so what you're saying is really, I know that was like a very probably long and boring story, but
no, it's not.
Amazing.
The power of asking is, and I wouldn't have asked if I wasn't pinned down in acupuncture with like fucking those like hot things that they put on you and the pins and everything. And I was just like, okay, like I have to like confront this feeling that I'm having of being like, please come back. But you really, if you ask and you open yourself up in that way, they come through. It's just, I'm still in that phase where I'm like shocked by it. I shouldn't be shocked by it, but I still am, and it's just more power to what you're saying is that it really is like, it's
simple. It's simple. It seems so far-fetched, but that's because we've been conditioned for it to be like that. People, don't want to believe all of that stuff because it just, I don't know, it's always been like that. It started with, actually probably the church. Back in the day, people did believe in this. It was normal to. And then the church repressed all of that. I mean, this is what I think. But and then now people are kind of scared of it and therefore they shut down. And people, if I can't go to a dinner party with just anyone and talk about this, I have to like vet the person first.
Yeah.
Otherwise I get met with like, oh, fucking hell, who am I sitting next to kind of thing, like.
Well, it goes back all the way to like the times of like the Druids and the pagans, and Christianity came and just demolished all that and made it evil and made it witchcraft. And what people don't like understand is that so many Christian celebrations and practices are taken from like pagan ritual and all like a Christmas tree. A Christmas tree. People don't realize this. A fucking Christmas tree. They used to put animal entrails in the woods during winter as like in the trees, like hanging the entrails in there as an offering so that they would get more food, more meat, more whatever it is. And that's what we do with our fucking Christmas trees. It's like people act like all of this stuff is like, woo. And it's like the oldest fucking thing. I don't know if either of you guys have read any Paglia, but she's like a feminist writer, and she talks about in Sexual Personae, this one massive book that is like really famous that she wrote. She talks about like sky gods and like earth gods, and the book is this long, and I tried to read it and I'm listening to it now because I'm like, I can't, it's going to take me 10 years to read this book. But she talks about the time in history where we went from worshipping like land-based, like human-based, animal-based gods, earth to these untouchable sky gods, and how it kind of ruined everything. But wow. Anyways, so I think it is interesting that it's much more simple than people even could imagine.
Yeah. So many things where I could talk about this for hours.
No, go on.
But
yeah. Do you have any more questions?
I mean, there's just so much like, I don't know. I don't really. I'm overwhelmed by it all. It's amazing what you're doing. I've read tons. This is all I think and talk. So it's really exciting to talk with someone else who's pursuing this. And look, I mean, your gift was there before you began training. That's the thing. You're not like training on something new. You're just implementing new ways to deepen your gift that's already made itself very clear in your life. And I just can't wait to see where you go with it.
You should join the course, Lucy. Sounds like and you can, because it's online.
Right.
So like, because of COVID, it's actually worked out really well for me because I don't have to travel to London. Right. And you can do it online.
Well, it's not about me. I'm talking about you.
It sounds like you've got your gift that you need to nurture. But I feel like everyone kind of has it. It's just like whether you want to like go far with it or access it in any kind of way, really.
That's right. And I guess the thing I was going to say is like spirit, like you're both saying, spirit is right there to work with
waiting.
Us. It's waiting. They are literally like chomping at the bit for us to ask, because it's a two-way relationship. They can't help you without being asked. And it's like consent, Annabelle, which we talk about a lot. They need your consent. And the second we ask, they're right there. And they come through in really interesting ways. It's never going to be like what you expected. Annabelle, that's an amazing story.
It really is.
I love hearing
Incredible.
That. Like the other night, I had a really awful nightmare about my dad. A lot of anger and rage on my part. And I woke up and I was so upset by it, so deeply upset. And I have a thing where I wake up in the middle of the night and get really, really depressed. The middle of the night really scares me. And I just started speaking to spirit and saying, please be with me. Please help me out of this headspace. And immediately my thoughts started going to these really happy memories in my life. And if you're not careful, you'll miss spirit's help, because that was their way of guiding me out of that headspace. You don't realize that you're getting the help you asked for in a way. And then I realized, these happier memories are them like easing me into these other headspaces.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be straightforward. It's going to be in signs. It's going to be in feelings. It's going to be...
Dreams are so powerful. Like 2 weeks ago, I had this really intense dream about my mum's friend, who I don't know very well. I've met her a few times, but it was like my mum and I were crying in the dream because this woman was dying, and she was dying of toxic shock syndrome.
Yeah. And
it was like a really vivid and really upsetting. And then I woke up and I thought, that was weird. But then 2 days later, it like popped back into my head again. And I was like, maybe I should talk to my mum about this. So I called her, and she was like, that's so weird, because I spoke to her this morning and she's not well at all, actually. She's really unwell, and it is to do with like her womb and stuff. And I was like, oh God, okay. Anyway, so they gave her antibiotics for a bladder infection, but it turned out not to be that, because the antibiotics weren't working. And I think she was like really close to having to go to hospital. Anyway, she went to a kinesiologist. I think that's who she went to, who's also kind of like a white witch character. And my mom had told her about the dream. She didn't say anything about the dying bit because she didn't want to freak her out. But she said to this woman, she was like, look, my friend's daughter's had this weird dream about me. And can you like check me out? Anyway, she did all these tests. She said, well, yeah, it's not exactly toxic shock syndrome, but you've got debris in your womb and it is creating an infection. So these antibiotics aren't going to work, basically. So the whole thing was, I think it pushed her to go and see someone. So it was like a spirit
and
trying to help.
It up.
through me. And then I eventually did say something, but it was definitely like things being popped into my head, you know, like, oh God, I remember that dream. Okay, I do have to do something about that. So it is like they help you. Not that I asked, but like, you know, they're like, oh, I can access that person through here. Or, so it's really interesting.
Yeah, I've had them. I had a spirit. I lost my friend, Johnny Lewis. He killed himself and murdered somebody and then killed himself. And he came through to a friend of mine who was in a psychic reading. He came through her psychic reading to get to me.
Oh, wow.
That medium had no idea who he was. She had no idea. It was wild. I mean, they come through any way they can. They find a way in when they have to. When we ask them, it makes it easier for them. But like Ryan said, I've got messages for Annabelle. Like she needs to fucking let me in. And same with your dad. They're going to try, but it's like a relationship. It's like any relationship with two living people. You've both got to rise up to meet at the same level. And that's the only way it's going to be reciprocal. Fascinating.
Oh, God, it is so fascinating.
Well, I want to, you know, there's so many things I want to hear about your path with that and your experiences, Jess. It's amazing. And I'm proud of you, and I don't even know you. So keep exploring it and just honing it, because it's such a gift to all of us and to the world. And you're just going to continue to help so many people with it by taking responsibility for it, you know?
Yes. Thank you. That is what's like ringing around in my head right now is like, I think we are moving into a time, and the world is telling us, and that we are moving into a time where it's really, really important that we take responsibility for like our health, our spirit, our wellness. And I see this as a part of wellness.
Me too.
I really do. And I think that the fact that you had those experiences and your reaction to that was to learn more and empower yourself and take care of yourself by understanding what was happening to you is like such a strong part of this kind of story for me. And it's really inspiring. And it actually kind of is now connecting, I'm saying it, to your music. You are also an artist, and your journey with that has been really interesting. But you are very self-sufficient in your music, and you made this music video for your single that just came out that I am like so impressed by and inspired by, because you just did it yourself. You guys used iPhones, and you empowered me by just sharing that, because I was like, wait, you made this on an iPhone? What? And it looks like any fucking music video that I would pay $7,000 to have made. And it's like so fucking good.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice to hear.
And your artist name is Debbie VanBo, correct?
Indeed. Yeah.
It's your alter ego. And you know, I would love if you would like to share a little bit about Debbie VanBo before we wrap it up here, and your single that just came out, Evil Man.
Okay, so Debbie VanBo, it all started because this guy moved down here. He was sort of a friend of the family's, but he moved down, and he started being really creepy with pretty much everybody, but at dinner parties would do really inappropriate things to, you know, my sister-in-law, aunties, uncles, and then, a friend of a friend came down, and there was one massive event where he literally went really far, to the point where she had like bruises on her arms and she was so traumatized by it that she still hasn't told us what happened. And so people were kind of like turning a blind eye to it, which really got my goat. And also Moses was just like, this is not fucking okay. So we channeled it all into the song. We actually just were writing it like during bath time with the kids, because Moses does a lot of his writing then, and we were laughing about it, and a lot of it was like quite rude and basically just channeling our anger into this song. And we were like, oh, maybe we should just write it, and this can be the revenge, because he'll definitely know it's about him. So that's what we did. And then I was like, oh, but I don't really want it to, I've got no desire to be in the limelight in any sense at all. I quite like my quiet life. And so anyway, when I have a few drinks, people call me Debs. They say Debs is out if I get a bit spicy. So I was like, okay, we'll use her because she's just being outspoken, and Debs is a part of my personality. So, and my last name, actually I'm not going to tell you what my new married name was, but it's a play on that. So basically, yeah, it's a play on names. Anyway, so yeah, Debs, and it's great because I get to put a wig on, be someone else, and it's so much easier performing like that, because I'm not being myself. So it's just been a massive bit of fun. Just got Moses' sister Caitlin, who's an incredible singer. She's just releasing all this amazing new music. She did the backing vocals on it, and we just got cousins and sisters involved in the video. It's all very local and low key and just fun. It was fucking freezing when we shot it though, so they were such troopers because all I did was just give them a few cans of Coca-Cola and some hot dogs. They did it
so
all
Jess,
for free. It was so sweet.
Wow. You live in an area, a beautiful area in England, and you have quite a unique living situation. You live on an estate, and a lot of your in-laws and your family that you married into, which is an aristocratic family, all live on this big estate. And there's about, how many of you? Like 30 of you?
Okay, so no, there's way more. So Christmas is like 70 people, and that's just like close family. Okay, so and there's Moses' stepmom is one of 10, and they've all had like 5 kids. So there's 36 grandchildren, and he's one of them.
Okay, so just for the listeners, as you guys know, I love like Downton Abbey and all of those kinds of things. So this was a Downton Abbey style family back in the day, and there's like a big house that the family don't really live in anymore but is still owned, and then there's a big estate with all the land and all of the other houses, and the family, however many hundreds of you there are at this time, are living in different houses in cottages on the estate. You can imagine the thrill for me of having a friend who actually is from one of these families is very thrilling.
I am shocked right now. I have no idea, Jess.
I know,
this is the most thrilling thing I've ever heard. What the fuck?
So you know what's so funny? It's so funny. It's Jess, I totally forgot that Mo's family was aristocratic, and that so when I
they don't act like it at all.
No, and when I just didn't even think about it. And what's so funny is like when I came to see you guys, as we were sitting there having lunch, I kind of like remembered, and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? I was like, your family is interesting, Jess. And like, oh, obviously our families are pretty crazy and interesting, but like Mo's family is like much more interesting, I feel like, than our families in a way.
What are we doing talking about our
I know. I mean, listen, like it's a different, that's not our family. So we don't have like a massive place to talk about. But I just wanted to give context to the fact that like when you say local and you say like sisters and cousins and all that thing, like, and when you guys, the listeners, watch the video, like everyone in the video is a relative. It's like, you guys are walking around the estate. You're like in these beautiful scenic places in the area that you guys live in. The shots are incredible. You guys look gorgeous. Your instincts with this video, for me, I was just like, I was looking at it thinking like, that those weeds down there would have bothered me, and I would have been a perfectionist about this. But you look at it and it's like, it's perfect as it is. And I think you're really following your instincts, and it's like beautiful. It's just coming together really naturally. But anyway, me gushing aside, I just wanted to give context for what you were saying about like your songs, your experience, where it's come from, is this like amazing, magical, like crazy situation that you've like found yourself in this life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so fortunate because I love all of them as well. They're all really fun and they're all really nice, and they love having a party. So it's like, right now, they're just down there having beers. They've just been at the beach. I can hear all the cousins have come over, you know, like it's like a constant hub, and you can just rock up, and it is really lovely. So yeah, I love it. And there's never no gossip. There's always gossip as well. Great.
Which I love as well, because you text me sometimes and you're like, this thing happened, because she knows I love it. And because I like don't really have too much gossip of my own, and obviously because it's all of that like estate, like old Aristo family stuff, I'm just so titillated by it. I love getting my little updates from you so much. Wow. Lucy, I bet you're like chomping at the bit.
I am in shock over here. I'm like playing with this rubber band. Like, what? Oh my God. Wow. Well, that's incredible. I need a breath. About your music, is this something that just came into your life, or have you always been a musician and a writer and a singer?
No, I've always been an artist, actually, a painter. And I went to art school in
amazing painter.
My God, girl, is there anything you can't do?
I know this bitch, honestly.
Well, I'm really bad at sports.
Yeah, me too. So's Annabelle. I already know.
I'm not. I'm really good at sports. I was the captain of all the sports team and played for the county. So fuck you, Lucy. That was my one thing I was good at. Please don't take it away from me.
You're so riled up on competition. You just like punch everyone else out to win.
Yeah, I did. I used to trip up. I remember when we would do like hockey practice at school, Jess, and I would constantly like trip up. I'll beep that bit out, but like I would always constantly be like hooking her. She'll love this because we don't get.
Oh my God,
that's.
But I would like body check her and like constantly use like my hockey stick to hook her.
You were the people I was terrified of.
Yeah,
like I was like
terrified of her.
Yeah, you should have been. I did not play fair at all. Anyway, go back to your things.
So music entered your life a little later.
Okay, yeah. So I went to art school in Brighton, which is where I met Moses, even though because my dad, I met all of Moses' family before him. We kind of grew up next door to each other, but never met. Wow. But anyway, so we were both in Brighton, we became friends, and then something else. And then he was in a band, which is why he was there. And his sister was in the band, but she had to leave because she got a record deal. And they were like, oh, we now need a backing singer. And I was like, well, don't look at me, I can't sing. And they were like, we also need someone to play the piano. I was like, yeah, can't do either of those things. And they're like, it's fine, we'll teach you. And I was like, what? Okay. So they did, but I never actually learned what the notes were. I just learned the shapes. And I just, it was an interesting time. The lead singer of the band had alcohol and drug problems, which just became really tiring, and which is why I think I got really bad stage fright, because we'd go on stage and I wouldn't know what note he was going to sing in, or if we were going to sing the same lyrics or whatever.
You didn't feel safe.
No, I was really stressed. I didn't know what I was doing either. I was just like, fucking hell, I'm just going to, So it started there, and then Moses and I just sort of diddle around in the studio, and it really is just like a bit of fun at the moment. We've got another single coming out because I just find it really fun. But my other passion is painting, so I do just sort of I rock in between both of those things.
Wow.
So that's how it all came about.
What a beautiful life you've created for yourself.
Yeah, I love. I'm so happy to be out of London now as well. I'm just like, it's what I dreamed of doing. It's just sort of having a place down here and just being creative.
Beautiful.
And your life is beautiful.
You're a mama of two?
I am. Yeah. I've got a 4-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl. And Ira, he's just shaved. He's got a Mohican. He had this long curly blonde hair, and he was like, "Mama, I want all my hair off." I was like, "Really?" He pointed to like a Mohican, and I was like, okay. So it looks pretty good on him, but it was a tragic day for me.
Wow.
I mourned his hair, his golden locks.
Oh, I know. I hear a lot of moms just so devastated over the first haircut.
Yeah, he can rock it. He looks good.
Wow. Well, what an inspiring person you are, just following your passions and following what you're curious about. I think it's a trap. Annabelle and I have talked about this before, of like asking people, what are you passionate about? Because a lot of times people don't really know. You can't answer that question, but you can answer what you're curious about.
Yeah.
Always. We're curious about things every day. And as long as we're pursuing what we're curious about, that's a happy life.
Yeah, I think, and it's nice now not to do it like under the cloud of, drug abuse.
Right.
It's so nice, come out of that and be like, oh, I can actually get out of bed and I can actually do things. And also having kids has been really helpful, weirdly, because you have such short amount of time to do things. So you're really productive. Before I was just like flailing around and like you being useless basically. But now it's given me a drive and it's been really helpful moving me forward.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow, what an inspiring chat. Thank you so much, Jess, for your time today.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice speaking with you and hearing about your life. And it's actually really funny that you guys are saying what you're saying again. you know how sometimes we finish with a quote from Jeff?
Yeah, we love Jeff.
We
haven't had a quote in a while.
So my card this week was the Devil, which is a card that it sounds bad, but it's not. And I'm not going to talk about it right now, but whatever, you guys can look it up. But he said the most fantastic thing to me. He said, don't try and make a job or career out of your ego. I was like, okay,
I'm going to have to reevaluate some things.
I know. And I think that actually speaking with you this week, Jess, is perfect timing, because I feel like you are not coming from a place of ego on your journey. You are coming from a place of like feeling and instinct, which is something I aspire to really continue doing in my life. I hope that listeners will be inspired too by your journey and your gifts.
Oh, thanks, guys. I'm blushing.
Aww.
Go out and join all your cousins out there in the forest.
We will share your art if you would like us to, and your music. We can't wait to get some listener feedback for this. If anyone has questions or anything.
Where can listeners connect with you? Do you have a website or social media?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's Debbie VanBo is for my music, and my art, I think it's Jessica Illsley Art.
I love that you don't even know.
Jessica Illsley Art. It's so exhausting having two thingies, and I will usually post on the wrong ones because I'm always tired and like not really paying attention. I do also have a website, which is definitely jessicaillsley.com. I'm on Spotify as well, just under Debbie Vambo. But there you go.
Well, you guys have an amazing evening with your family, Jess, and Lucy, have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Love you both.
Love you.
Love you.
The Lucy and Annabelle Show is brought to you by me, Annabelle Jones, and me, Lucy Walsh. Theme tune by Lucy Walsh. Produced by Paul Kaminsky. Find us on Instagram at The Lucy and Annabelle Show. Love you!
About a mile deep, and I see it reflected in the company you keep. Evil man, run yourself out of town. A local girl came round to see you on your farm.